secret tip to college. This was the worst year ever. Hey guys, it's Morgan. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, click the subscribe button down below. Today I'm doing a Get Ready With Me college edition. So basically, I'm going to tell you guys all my regrets and things I'm really grateful I did freshman to senior year. And I have a lot to share. It seems like you guys really love my college videos, so I decided that I was going to do this just because I have like an hour or so to get ready. If you don't know, just for the semester, I'm on my community college's dance team, and today is going to be our first football game performance ever, so I'm really excited. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so freshman year, wow, freshman year low-key was such a blur for me. I'm saying that, and the purpose of the video is not for it to be a blur.
Bruh.
For context, I was on Zoom, so definitely take that into consideration. Honestly, it feels like just yesterday that I was in Zoom classes and like meeting people and introducing myself via breakout rooms. What a time. My first piece of advice for freshmen is just to like put yourself out there. A way you can do this is through joining clubs. I joined like 2 or 3 clubs freshman year just because it was online Zoom. So sophomore year technically was my freshman year where I joined tons of clubs because it's like better to get a gist of it in person. The clubs I joined were solely just to see how they were gonna be. Okay then. For example, I joined this medical club called HOSA, and I didn't know if I was gonna do it or not for the rest of my high school career, but I ended up doing it and I ended up loving it. But yeah, really just like try to find clubs that match somewhat of your interest. They don't really have to be like something that you're like set on doing, but something that you're like generally like, oh, that'd be cool. Also, just something to keep in mind, I actually do have videos of freshman to junior year advice, so go check those out because they definitely give just like a more in-depth response, but today is just like an overall picture of everything. In terms of academics, obviously your academics are going to be the easiest. Like when I tell you the transition from freshman to sophomore year is insane, it's insane. But overall, like my school freshman year is pretty manageable. I think the homework was very decent. The tests were good. I loved all my teachers, but I loved all my teachers every year, so really just depend on your school with that. If your school offers AP classes freshman year, maybe try to take like 1 or 2 just to get yourself familiar with the AP style because you're going to be taking those for the rest of the 3 years you're there. And honestly, if there's one time to get bad grades, it's freshman year, which is funny because my highest grades were in freshman year. People say, oh, like it's bad to get like bad grades freshman year, but honestly it isn't because from there you can show growth like sophomore to senior year. It's better to start from the bottom and work your way to the top rather than be at the top and then slowly decline in your grades. Speaking from personal experience. But yeah, really utilize like all your resources that your school has to offer. Friend-wise, people that you will meet freshman year will probably not be your best friends senior year. And I know that's hard to like come to terms with, but it's kind of nice in a way because you'll find your people eventually. Even if you think you found your people freshman year, like that's great. I still have friends from freshman year, but I'm just saying in general, not everyone you meet is gonna be your friend. And that's just something that's like reality. Like middle school, high school, college, like people grow, people change, and you won't always find your people right away. And there's like, oh, look at that. Okay, I did not expect it to be that dark. But yeah, just keeping like an open mind freshman year is super important. Obviously, like try to make friends and like I said, like put yourself out there. But at the same time, be aware some of these people will not last in your life for a long time. Also, freshman year, I recommend you try to play a sport, even if you're not the athletic type, because honestly, that's how you make friends so much easier. For example, I played lacrosse my freshman and sophomore year, and I never played lacrosse in my entire life before, but I tried it out and I actually really liked it. Obviously try out new things every year, but like freshman year is definitely the time to try out stuff. One thing that I will say is that a lot of people like to start clubs freshman because it's like a great resume builder, which it is if you do it right. You're a freshman, you don't know how the clubs work at your school, and it's definitely harder to get people because you don't know everyone. And a big part of having successful clubs is to recruit and have a lot of people in there. Also, that brings up the fact, if you're in a club, don't try out for like the president role because, I mean, how can you do that? Work your way up to the top slowly. Hold up guys, I want to show you guys this that I got from Good Molecules. Literally, they are the sweetest people ever. And I'm gonna try out their sunscreen today. It's such an aesthetic brand, I'm so excited. And yes, I did do my bronzer before this because I forgot, so we might have to redo that. Okay, but like I was saying, there are exceptions because I was a freshman class president. And obviously that's a pretty big rule as a freshman. I was pretty ambitious that year. I was actually never gonna try out for president in the first place. And I worked my way up to the top from freshman president to ASB president, which is really cool if you think about it because it's like my growth over the years. And then for my school, the exception is that like every class has their own class president. So it kind of is like something you have to jump into initially. So that's what I meant by like the exception part. You don't have to copy me. You don't have to be the president of your school. Do what you love and find genuine passion in, because I found genuine passion in like being the behind the scenes of the school, But if that's not you, you can totally find like other clubs and stuff that match your interests. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about freshman year. Let's get into sophomore. Ooh. Oh gosh. I have a lot to say about sophomore year. I don't think most of it is good. I guess I can start off with my biggest regret, which was overwhelming myself. Sophomore year, I put a lot on my plate when I definitely shouldn't have. And learn from me, please just take it slowly, especially transitioning from freshman to sophomore year. You think you can handle a lot because freshman year is so easy, and then it just doesn't work out. Truly though, sophomore year was one of the best learning experiences of my life. So yeah, just don't overwhelm yourself sophomore year. As a sophomore, you're definitely going to be taking more APs than you did freshman year. My school didn't allow me to take APs freshman year, so I took my first AP sophomore year. If you guys want to go watch stats video, I tell you guys like the classes I took and everything like that, but like I said, this is more general video. But the classes I did take were really hard. So just know your limits on what you can handle, because not everyone can handle the same amount. I know friends who did kind of the same thing as me and they aced everything, which is so good for them. So like just make sure you know your own limits and yourself. Also, at the time, I was sophomore class president. That is something I want to touch on because growing from freshman class president to sophomore class president is really good, especially for college resumes, because it shows that you're committed to something. So put stuff on your plate, but make sure you can commit to it and put in enough time to make it successful and look good on a resume as well. Sophomore year is definitely a time I say that you need to start building some connections. Connections with teachers, connections with friends. This is a big time, a big step from freshman year, and it's time to lock in a little bit more. Although most of the time you take letter of recs from junior year teachers, sophomore year teachers can help a lot, and especially if your sophomore year teachers also teach junior year classes, that's good. But overall, just knowing your school and knowing your staff is really, really helpful. I'm just saying, it's definitely more lenient and you feel more free at school. Sophomore year was probably the year that I actually didn't like most of my teachers. They were okay, but they do not compare to my freshman, junior, or senior year teachers at all. But I still make connections with them and they still know me to this day, so it's great. So sophomore year is a time where you can kind of switch around the clubs that you may have joined freshman year, because it's only your second year of high school, so you're kind of just exploring like your options, which is totally fun. Like, even though I said college is really like commitment, if you're already committed to a sport, like one or two things, like that's okay. And then you have like clubs on the side, like you can switch that up a little bit. There's a lot of leniency, and like college admissions know that like your interests change, your passions change, stuff like that. If you stick to those clubs that you were in freshman year, or like any activities from freshman year, then maybe you could get a position sophomore year. If there's roles for like secretary, treasurer, maybe VP if you're really good at the club, or maybe other positions like a guest speaker chair, apparel chair. That's what I was doing for HOSA, and I actually stuck with that till my senior year. A big title and a big role means nothing if you don't do anything with it. A tiny role and you doing something with it means a lot. But yeah, biggest tip for sophomore year, lock in, because there's no going back. If you guys don't know, for UCs, sophomore year is the first year that your grades actually count towards your UC GPA, which they calculate when you apply to their school. Your GPA consists of your sophomore and junior year. And that was something I actually didn't know until I think like mid sophomore year, and I was like, shoot, I'm screwed. So don't make the mistake I did with that. If anything, focus on your grades over your extracurriculars. That's something that I totally regret. Okay, friend-wise, sophomore year is the time where friends can get a little bit messy, because you just came from freshman year, maybe some drama happened, normally it does. And sophomore year is a time where people are kind of in the midst of like forming friend groups. It's kind of just like a weird like middle zone in high school. Sophomore year I was friends with like a lot of different kinds of friend groups. And of course, this is just my experience personally, like other people might have had a solid friend group, but for me, like I didn't throughout the whole year. It kind of changed. But that also has to do with stuff dealing with like relationships and stuff like that. Oh god, it's not good. So I know a lot of people get into relationships in high school, and a lot of people actually get into ones like sophomore, junior year-ish. I got into my first one sophomore year. Also, by the way, guys, don't take this as like, oh, I have to date someone like sophomore. Take this on your own time. It just happens when it happens. I may say that your first relationships might not be the best. You definitely have room to grow, and so does your partner. Like, high school dating is very odd and different than like what real dating in the real world would be like, which I don't even know what it's gonna be like yet. But I'm just saying, high school relationships are messy sometimes. They can be filled with drama and bad communication. And honestly, usually in the relationship, it's both of you guys that like mess up, because it's pretty hard as like teenagers. But it's good to explore relationships when you can, because you kind of learn what you like in a relationship and what you don't like. You also learn a lot about yourself. But here comes my tip of don't get into a relationship if you don't love yourself first. Relationships are a big time commitment, so make sure that you're ready for that, and make sure you're getting the princess treatment that you deserve, because it's very important, because some guys don't treat you right. Okay, I think that's what I have to say about my sophomore year. What a great year. Okay, let's move on to junior year. Junior year. This is when high school low-key started getting really good. Everyone's like, wow, junior year sucks. For me, it did not. I think it's also because I had such a bad sophomore year. So going into junior year, it made it seem like it was so much better. So junior year academically, I won't lie, it was hard, but I don't think it was as hard as my sophomore year. Junior year, you should be taking more APs than your sophomore year. And then same with commitment. Junior year is the time to get the best positions you can get. Class president, president of like, I don't know, like choose club. That's a thing, by the way, at some schools. Isn't that cool? But junior year is the time to definitely build up that resume, because those are honestly the last things that are going to be put onto your college application when you apply at senior year. Like, yeah, you could like start a club senior year, but then it will just look like you started it for college app season. Doesn't look good. If you want to start a club, start it sophomore year and then grow it junior year, or start a club junior year and make it really successful by the end of the year. So really focus on your extracurriculars if your grades are already really good. If they're not really good, focus on your grades first, of course, like I've been saying. But at a certain point, junior year, extracurriculars definitely play a huge part. Also, junior year is the time to ask for letter of recs at the end. Letter of recommendations are basically just recommendations from teachers that you have or have had in the past. My best tip is actually to ask your junior year current teachers, because they know you best, and college admissions actually said that they like that better. Just because it's like the most recent teachers you have, so like they know where you are like relatively to like senior year. Most schools take 2 letter of rec. 1, I would recommend getting from a humanities teacher, and then 2 would be from a STEM teacher, just so that college admissions can see that you're well-rounded. There's also a controversy between being well-rounded and also having a spike in your college application, which is something that you only focus on. So like, for example, like science, biology. So like everything you do is related to biology. Honestly, I think that they like both. Being well-rounded at everything is honestly unrealistic, and I don't think most people are. So most people have at least an interest or so that they think they're like okay or like pretty good at. So that would be considered your like spike. But I think what they mean by well-rounded is like having good grades in like all your classes, and like your classes definitely range from like history, geography, like science, stuff like that. Just because of like California standards, you're technically already taking like all the classes that you can be well-rounded in. So honestly, that controversy is a little bit odd to me. Now, if you guys want to go watch my letter of recs video, go watch that, because I read my letter of recs and it's actually so sad. I tell you guys like the teachers I asked and like what they read about me, which is super nice. So yeah, go check that out. Friend-wise, junior year, honestly, I really like my friends junior year. I kept a lot of them senior year too, so I think that shows that like you start to get older and then you start to find your kind of group. Obviously, like I didn't stay friends with everyone, but that's just how like the world works. The majority of people I actually did, and I still talk to today. Like one of my best friends, Alicia, we had calc together junior year and we didn't know each other. But then we just became super close in like a group, and then eventually we became really good friends senior year, and like now we're best friends. Is that too much highlighter? I really can't tell. After sophomore year, I definitely learned my lesson on like my limits. So make sure you still implement that in your junior year, because you also will feel really overwhelmed because you're like, wow, this is my last year before I apply to college and I just have to do everything I can. So learn from your mistakes is what I'm saying, and learn from my mistake. Also academically, if you have any opportunity to like participate in like a competition for like a club, like mock trial, debate, whatever, you should totally do it, because that also looks really good on the resume. And plus you get really good experience for the real world, because in college people do that too. My sophomore and junior year are definitely years that I connected with other schools and other ASB or leadership, and that honestly helps me a lot, because some people that are going to USC actually were from other ASB leadership, so it's kind of cool. So yeah, make sure you reach out to people, keep those connections, follow people from different schools, whatever. Oh wait, I forgot to say, homecoming. Oh my goodness. Involve yourself in homecoming every single year. I don't care how big or how small your homecoming is, involve yourself in it, because it is probably one of the best experiences that you'll ever have in your life, and you'll never get it back. It's like the teenage experience, and I'm not talking about like the homecoming dance, I'm just talking about like homecoming week in general, because homecoming week in general is just so fun. My school like decks out in everything homecoming. We have like a theme for each week, so it's super fun. But even if your school doesn't do that, if you guys have like lunch activities or like power puffs, stuff like that, please do it, because like you'll regret if you didn't do it. I have friends today that were like, wow, I wish I did that all 4 years, because most of them only do it their senior year, and they're like, shoot, I missed out on all the 3 years. And like, of course this is coming from like a leadership student, but really just like try to put yourself out there, especially junior year. Since junior year is already like a stressful time in general academic wise, you want to add some fun into your life. So homecoming, spring fling, stuff like that if your school has. Okay, yeah, that's for junior year. Let's get into senior year. Ooh, I want the time of my life. That is senior year summed up in one song. Oh, senior year, how I miss you so much. I would do anything to go back to my senior year of high school. Like I've said in like a lot of my videos, I've had such a good high school experience, and I'm so grateful for that, but I know a lot of people haven't. So these are my tips on like trying to like put yourself out there and have the best high school experience like I did. Because I know it's hard being a teenager and like dealing with college apps and academics and relationships and friends and like everything. It just feels like so overwhelming, and it's like you feel like you can't handle anything. but trust me, you can, and everything will work out your senior year of high school. Okay, so senior year, I absolutely love my classes. They were my favorite classes ever. I thought my junior year classes were my favorite. My favorite teacher was definitely from my junior year. But like I said, having one teacher is always great, so you can always go to them whenever you want, and that was my history teacher. In senior year, I would still pop into his classroom and just like talk about my life to him. Shout out Mr. Spear, I know he's not watching this, but like, you know. Even though it's not important to make connections with your teachers anymore, because you're probably not going to be asking these senior year teachers for letter of recs, it's just so good that you do, because then they'll be more lenient on you and you can actually enjoy a senior year. Seriously, knowing all my senior year teachers really well helped a lot, because like towards the end of the year when I was kind of like lazy and stuff like that, they'd be like, okay, like you do a lot of work before, like you're a really good student, like I'll let you like get off, you know what I mean? Not even just that, but like having good connections with your senior year teachers will help. You're kidding. I just broke that. Senior year, do everything and anything. Go to senior sunset, go to all the rallies. I know I said that you should do that junior year, but like if worst comes to worst and you didn't do it already and you're a senior, please just go to all the events. Go with a friend, like call them up and be like, hey, do you want to go, and just like see what this is about, because it's just like memory. Academically, senior year, take it really easy. And yeah, people are like, oh, like senioritis, stuff like that. It is true, but not if you have discipline for yourself. I honestly actually don't think I got senioritis. I might have had that like no care mindset for like a little bit, but I still did all my homework, got it in on time. So just make sure to like calm down a little bit, because just know this is your last year of high school. You want to enjoy the memories rather than focusing on your grades. However, I will say first semester of senior year can really help if you have good grades, because if colleges defer you, which means like, okay, we're gonna evaluate you next semester, which means in the spring semester, if you applied like to colleges for like early action or ED, whatever, then most of the colleges will actually ask you for your senior year first semester grades, and that's when they can decipher between you and another applicant on which one is better. The thing is, if you have good grades senior year and you kept up with everything, then you're good to go. If you had lower grades like me before senior year first semester, but your grades went up senior year first semester, that's also really good stuff. Also, by the way, this isn't for UCs. UCs don't do this. Second semester senior year, grades obviously don't matter at all unless you like had a 4.0 all year and like you want to keep a 4.0. People are like, oh yeah, your offer can get rescinded if you like have bad grades senior year. But bad grades meaning like below a C. So just enjoy, try your best, really. Friend-wise, I made a lot of my best friends. The group I hung out with all summer that you saw in my vlogs, I made my friends like through senior year. We basically went to a football game. I think it was like the Pink Out or whatever. And I was already friends with like some of the people in the group. One of my friends basically invited us to like hang out one night, and we played capture the flag at like this school nearby. And then after that, we were like, let's hang out every Friday night. And we did. And it was just so amazing. We hung out at Ryan's house all the time, and like I really miss those days. But everyone's coming back for Thanksgiving break, so I'm very excited for that. But I guess this just goes to show that like friends evolve, and like you can meet friends at any time of your life. It doesn't have to be like the very first year you get to high school, the very first year you get to college, etc. Because sometimes friend groups aren't good for you. They can be super toxic and you don't want to be part of that. And also sometimes maybe they just like don't match your vibe, don't match your interest. It's okay, like that's fine, and you can still be friends with them for sure. Just having that mindset, knowing that like not everyone will be your, or not everyone will be as easy to talk to as like maybe someone else would be, is really important. Well, I'm saying important a lot. And then one thing, senior year of high school, if you were already in a relationship or you're getting into a relationship, be aware that college is coming. It's definitely not a mistake to get into a relationship senior year, but you really do want to know that your life is going to change in about a year or so, and that you're not going to be in the same area that you are living in right now. One quick thing that I do want to talk about that actually fits into all years of high school is do not feed into peer pressure. I think everyone has done that before. And it's hard not to, because like you want to like fit in, stuff like that. But senior year, I definitely realized you don't have to like party to like have fun, for example. If that's your thing, like great, that's your thing. Honestly, high school is a time where popularity really comes into play. I definitely was not popular, but I definitely knew a lot of people, which definitely helped from like different kinds of friend groups. And also being class president was also super helpful in that. And honestly, there were times where I felt like I wasn't fitting in either. But that's the thing, like you don't have to. Like don't feel pressured to do anything you don't want to do. And that just goes with like, honestly, everything in general. Anyways, what else do I have to say? College, academic wise, get on top of those college apps. My biggest thing is you should start your college apps at least in like the summer. I know people who did their college apps like the day before and got into crazy school. But if you're like me and you like to get your work done like before, or like you have anxiety about like not finishing in time and stuff like that, definitely try to relieve some of that stuff in summer before your senior year of high school. My best advice ever. Literally guys, this is my secret tip to college admissions. Listen to the Yale podcast. I figured it out way too late in the game, so I'm telling you guys now. I've told like all my friends and they use all their advice because it's not just to Yale specific, but it's just to like all Ivy Leagues and just like colleges in general. They give really good tips on like if you should even apply to the schools, like what are some factors that they like factor in. Literally, I'd be driving to school and listening to that podcast 24/7. It's amazing. And it's honestly super entertaining. They make it fun. It's not just like one of those like boring podcasts like you don't want to listen to. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. During the college admission process, a lot of people are going to be talking behind your back and you also are going to do the same thing. So really try to like separate yourself from that kind of crowd. Literally anytime anyone mentioned like college admission stuff, I walked away. It was such a sensitive topic for me that I even like deleted my social media from my phone for literally the whole month of March because that was when like all the UCs came out. But overall, enjoy your senior year. It's really as good as everyone says, unless people have said differently. But I feel like most people really enjoy their senior year of high school. You really get to do all the fun stuff that you wanted to do as like a freshman and you're finally grown up. And when you cross that stage for graduation, you're gonna feel really accomplished. Even if high school was the worst 4 years of your life, you made it. That was actually part of me and the senior class's president's speech. Literally don't take advantage of it because it goes by in a flash. And obviously like every school is different, but my school had a lot of activities for seniors. So it's really good to connect. And like at the end, like everyone just became friends for a second. Kind of weird, but it's like a good feeling. And then you have summer last time in your hometown, unless you're like me, a spring admit. You come back to them during breaks now instead because then you make new friends in college. That's so crazy to think about that like I'm talking about this now, but like a year ago today, I was working on college apps in my room. Topping off with some Tower 28 spray. So refreshing. But here's the final look, just without the lashes. Super excited to perform tonight and see my best friend. Everything will work out how it's supposed to be and just enjoy high school. If you guys liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, don't do anything. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!